On October 4th, 1957, a tiny metal ball circled the Earth, beeping. In 90 minutes it crossed a terrified America, and the world's mightiest nation realized it had already lost. Who built the machine that humiliated a superpower? His name was a state secret. Two men built the road to the stars, and they never once met. In America, Wernher von Braun was a household name and a movie star. In Russia, Sergei Korolev was a ghost known only as the chief designer, his name forbidden to print. Von Braun's genius was born in war. At a secret base called Peenemünde, he built the V2, the first machine ever to touch the edge of space. But it climbed only to fall, raining death on London at the speed of sound. But the V2 hid a monstrous secret. It was assembled by prisoners in an underground camp called Dora, worked to death in the tunnels. More people died building the rocket than were ever killed by it. His rival knew suffering of another kind. Sergei Korolev was a rising Soviet star, until Stalin's secret police arrested him as a traitor. They smashed his jaw and shipped him to a gold mine in Kolyma to die. When the Reich collapsed in 1945, von Braun made a cold calculation and surrendered to the Americans. In secret, the United States erased his Nazi past and smuggled him home under a plan codenamed Paperclip. In America, the former enemy became a star. He went on television with Walt Disney, charming millions and selling them a dazzling dream. That man would one day live among the planets. Korolev survived the gulag, and Stalin needed his genius back. Freed but never trusted, he built the R-7, the world's first intercontinental rocket. Yet his name stayed classified, hidden even from his own people. Then Korolev did the unthinkable. He bolted a radio transmitter to a polished sphere, strapped it to his rocket, and on that October night in 1957, Sputnik became the first man-made object to orbit the Earth. America panicked. Desperate to answer, it rushed its own rocket, Vanguard, onto live television. It rose 4 feet into the air, toppled and exploded. Newspapers called it Kaputnik. But Korolev was already far ahead. Just a month after Sputnik, he sent a stray dog named Laika into orbit, the first living creature in space. She had no way home and quietly died among the stars. Humiliated, America finally turned to the man it once called the enemy. Von Braun's team built and launched Explorer 1, and at last the United States had a foothold in space. Both sides now raced to launch a human first. And once again, the secret chief designer struck first. On April 12, 1961, Korolev's Vostok carried Yuri Gagarin into orbit, the first human in space. America's reply came just 3 weeks later when Alan Shepard rode into the sky. But it was a brief 15-minute hop, not a true orbit. Once more, von Braun's side trailed the Russians. So America changed the game. President Kennedy stood before the nation and made an impossible promise: to land a man on the moon and return him safely before the decade was out. The moon now belonged to whoever could build the biggest rocket. Korolev secretly designed a giant of his own, the N1. But the gulag had wrecked his body, and the years of overwork were killing him. In January 1966, Korolev went in for routine surgery. On the table, doctors could not fit a breathing tube, because Stalin's torturers had shattered his jaw decades before. He died. Only then did the world finally learn his name. Without their chief designer, the Soviet moon dream fell apart. His giant N1 rocket was launched 4 times, and 4 times it tore itself to pieces in towering fireballs. Russia's race to the moon was over. Now von Braun built the mightiest machine ever made, the Saturn V, taller than a stadium. On July 20th, 1969, it carried Apollo 11 to the moon, and Neil Armstrong stepped onto another world. Von Braun had won the moon. But here was the cruel truth: he only reached it because his rival was gone. The anonymous prisoner had put humanity into space first, while the celebrity carried it to the moon. Both men built rockets that began as weapons and ended by carrying us to the stars. One had the fame, the other had the silence. So who was the true father of the space age? Tell us below and subscribe. History is full of these wars.